Hi, I'm Bill Bonfanti, box office analyst for FilmGo. Welcome to Box Office Bang Up. My co-host, Wall Street trader Frank Nocerino, couldn't be with me this week, so for all you Frank Nocerino fans out there, I truly apologize. You just had me this week. We do have 3 movies hitting multiplexes this weekend. First up, we have Jennifer Lopez in the romantic comedy The Backup Plan. We have a DC Vertigo comic book adaptation, The Losers, and Disney Nature unveils its second documentary, Oceans. Before we get to that, I just want to explain again, the purpose of this show is that I can give you weekend predictions so that you can use them to trade futures contracts on the Cantor Exchange. Again, the Cantor Exchange is a website where future contracts based on box office receipts are going to be trading. How it works is a film will start trading 6 months before its release date, ideally, and then it will trade for another 4 weeks after its release date. This 4-week period is when it's going to make all the money that'll determine the worth of the contract. I refer to this period as the popcorn period. So you're going to hear that term a lot when you come visit my website and watch my show. The popcorn period. It means the 4-week settlement period. So basically what's going to happen is, okay, let's take a movie like Date Night. If you think that movie could make $75 million in 4 weeks at the box office, and which would translate to $75 per contract, every contract will cash out at 1/1,000,000th of its actual box office take. So $75 million, $75. So you think Date Night could make $75 million. You see it's trading at $60 on the exchange. You would buy the contract, and then if you held it till settlement, you would make 15 points if you were right and the film actually made $75 million and cashed out at $75 per contract. So 15 points, right? That's great. So if you bought 10 contracts, that's $150. If you bought 100 contracts, that's $1,500. But you do have to realize that nothing is a lock and you could be wrong. You could think it's going to make $75 million, buy it at 60, and be wrong, and the film only makes $50 million in 4 weeks. And if that's the case, the contract would settle at $50, $10 cheaper than where you bought it. You would lose 10 points per contract. Again, if you bought 10 contracts, you would lose $100. If you bought 100 contracts, you'd lose $1,000. You get the math. And that's basically it. The exchange did just receive approval from the CFTC this week, but there are still a few approval things they have to go through with the CFTC and with Congress and everything. So I'll keep you updated over the next couple of weeks. But right now, it's looking pretty good. So let's get to this weekend's movies. All right, first up, Jennifer Lopez back on the big screen and since a 5-year absence, basically, with The Backup Plan. In this film, a romantic comedy, she plays a woman who's sick of looking for Mr. Right, wants to start a family, so she gets artificially inseminated, and lo and behold, of course, once she's pregnant, she meets Mr. Right. Jennifer Lopez, her films, romantic comedies, are definitely her bread and butter genre. They're her biggest hits, such as Monster-in-Law. That movie opened to about $23 million, went on to make about $85 million. Made in Manhattan, that was another one, opened to about $18 million, went on to make about $80 million. But conversely, some of her biggest box office disappointments were also romantic comedies. You have Geely, which is notorious for box office bomb. That movie, I think, opened to about $3 million and went on to make $6. So not a very big hit. And there was also Jersey Girl, which only made about $25 million in its entire run in theaters. So, the real question is, are audiences clamoring for the return of J-Lo to the screen? I don't really think so. I think that the film will probably be a mid-range hit for her. Look for it to make about $13 million over the weekend, maybe tap out at about $35-40 million overall. But it'll be enough to be the number 2 film for the week. What's interesting is that How to Train Your Dragon, going into its 5th weekend, will be the number 1 film this weekend. The film has been seeing really small declines over the weeks, down 20-25% each weekend. If it follows suit, and I think it will, it should make about $15.5 million this weekend, which will be enough to be number 1, which is astonishing, really. That never happens. So on to the next new movie for the week. We've got The Losers. Again, that's based on a comic book series from DC Vertigo. It does have a really solid cast. You have Jeffrey Dean Morgan, best known for Watchmen, and some really great TV roles on Grey's Anatomy and Supernatural. He was even on Weeds and Flashbacks, which is a very funny show if you've never seen it. You have Zoe Saldana, who's hot off of Star Trek and Avatar, and you have Chris Evans, best known for playing the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four movies, and soon to be playing Captain America, which will sure to be a big hit. That comes out next summer, summer 2011. The thing is, even though these actors have appeared in some really big movies, by themselves, they really don't have much box office muscle. Yeah, Zoe Saldana, yes, she was in Avatar, yes, she was in Star Trek, but I could argue that those films would have made every penny that they made, whether or not she was in it or not. So I don't really expect many great things from The Losers. Usually the rule with comic book adaptations is they don't really make that much money unless they star one of the iconic heroes like Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Wolverine, even Iron Man. You get the picture. Last weekend Kick-Ass opened. That was another best-selling comic book series turned into a film. That film only managed $19.8 million in its opening weekend. Not a very big start. And I don't expect The Losers to even do that well because Kick-Ass definitely, in my opinion, has a bigger fan base. So I would expect The Losers to open kind of light at about $10 million for the weekend. Probably wind up in 4th place for the weekend. Not a solid start. The film will probably tank out at about $30 million overall. The last new film for the weekend is Oceans, Disney Nature's second documentary follow-up to Earth, which was last year. The film actually opens today on Earth Day, so it's going to be a 4-day weekend launch. Disney did follow a similar path last year. They opened Earth on Earth Day, which fell on a Wednesday last year. That film made $4 million on its opening day. Then it made $8.8 million over the weekend for a 5-day total of $14.5 million. I do expect Oceans to follow a similar trajectory, but slightly less. The film is opening on 600 fewer screens than Earth. Earth opened on 1,800. This one's only going to be on about 1,200. So I think the opening day today, it's going to follow the same path. I think it should make about $4 million today. Earth made that money primarily due to like a lot of school trips that went out on Earth Day, took the classes to see Earth, and the same thing happened today. I can tell you, my daughter was at Oceans today for a school trip. So $4 million for the first day. I think a slightly less take for the weekend. Earth again made $8.8 million. I think this one can make about $7 million. So you're looking at a 4-day total of about $11 million. The film will probably be 8th place for the weekend. It's a pretty weak slate for as far as new releases go, but the holdovers are going to do really well. As I mentioned, How to Train Your Dragon, that's going to be down about 20%, $15.5 million, enough to be number 1. Date Night, going into its 3rd frame, should perform really well, maybe down about 35% this weekend. And Clash of the Titans should hold up pretty well as well, down about 45% for the weekend. The real question for me is how well will Kick-Ass hold up? The reviews have been great. I saw it myself. It really is an awesome movie. But I really don't think it's for everybody. So I'm expecting a pretty large decline of about 55%. It'll probably land in 5th place for the weekend, and I'd say it makes about $9 million overall. That's it for this weekend. Thank you very much for tuning in, and next week I'll be back with my co-host Frank Nocerino, and thank you very much. We'll see you next week.